Hey guys, Woods Farm here, just back out working on the Kubelwagen. I'm still not running the engine. It'll just spit and sputter right now. Still got to deal with the generator issue. As for the no start, I've been around in circles multiple times. I've reset the points gap and the static timing multiple times. I've checked that there's fuel. Everything seems fine on this end. It won't even run when you put quick start in it, which tells me that it's a ignition system problem. And this is to be the third time I've had an ignition system issue. I've originally had all new stuff on it, and then last time it broke down I ended up replacing spark plugs and a coil. Right now, as far as I can tell, I'm getting sparked all four cylinders, and it's in the correct timing, give or take, at least close enough that it should start, and I got nothing. So I even the other night rechecked the compression, 120 pounds on all four. You know, so it has compression, it has fuel, it's got to be ignition, and I don't know what's going on. I'm just scratching my head here. Last time I thought maybe it was the coil, but again, if it's a coil again, then what is causing the coil to burn out in, you know, an hour and a half of runtime, you know, just sitting idling and then driving around the backyard, and then boom, I'm right back to square one. So obviously there's some sort of issue I don't know about that's causing the ignition system to get screwed up. So right now, the only piece I haven't actually replaced is the condenser, because last time I had planned on it, but it didn't show up in the mail, or I don't know what happened, and it's actually at my post office box. You have to go pick it up in the US, so I don't have a spare. So I think I'm going to do some research and see about these coils. I tested them, and both the two coils I have, one is a blue Bosch, and then there's this one here. They're roughly the same. If anything, this original one's better. I had replaced it with the Bosch and got the engine running last time, and then I tested them, and this one seemed to read higher or better, so I threw it back on. So I don't know, you know, maybe these coils are messing up. What possibly could be causing that to happen? Like, I'm wondering maybe if the condenser is doing something and it's causing those things to fry, or maybe it's the fact that my generator's not working. I've charged the battery 12.6 to 13 volts at the battery, got lots of cranking power, so I don't know. Anyways, hopefully next video I'll have a solution for this. So in the meantime, I'm going to try to keep my spirits up. I know it's a little frustrating. I am going to start dealing with some more electrical stuff. The rear needs to be wired up for signal lights, brake lights, running light. I have one of these kind of little junction fuse boxes. Everything's fused on the front end, so these fuses aren't going to be like necessary, but it's an easy way to split things. So I basically have, like, coming to the back, I have 4 wires, 2 for the signals left and right, a wire for brakes, and a wire for running lights. And then the running lights, I'm also going to jump off of that to make the license plate marker light. So what I need to do is make some wiring harnesses that go from this box to the left and right side of the vehicle. And I also need to wire up some quick connectors onto the main wires that come back, mount this in the vehicle, and get everything wired. So those are the brackets for the brake light assemblies, which I'm going to get off Amazon. There's my main harness coming from the front, and somewhere up here I'm thinking, I'm not exactly sure where. I might actually try to get it as high up as I can. This guy is going to get mounted up in there. So I'm just getting the wire into this plastic casing, which is always a pain. Just got to be patient, and eventually get it in there. Okay, that's what I've got so far. And there's a wire that goes along the back, and that makes it over to the driver's side for the light over there. And then there'll be another wiring harness coming in, kind of up in the corner there, and that'll come down, and that'll be for the passenger side. Okay, that's the system all wired up. So basically the blue and the yellow are the left and right signals. The red and the black are the brake lights and the running lights. And I also added green ground lines. There's one that go to each of the two lights on each side. Most of the systems, they rely on the actual connection between the body of the light fixture and the connection to the body as the ground. What happens is those connections, wherever it's bolted together or whatever, wherever the light bulb kind of touches the bodywork, it corrodes, and you'll have a ground issue, which is why trailer lights short out so often. So I'm going to add a ground wire, and hopefully that'll keep a clean, good ground for the bulbs. So you can see, there goes my line over to the driver's side. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the way that turned out. The little panel's a little crooked, but it was pretty difficult drilling up in there. You can see how that part of the harness, that goes over through the firewall and into the open space between this part of the firewall and the outside fender panel. So this is where the light will get mounted to. So down in here, there's going to be a hole drilled through this bodywork, and that wiring harness will come through there, and it'll be able to connect to that light fixture. So one of the little minor things on the to-do list is to try to clean this up. I just looked at it for a few minutes and kind of scratching my head. I mean, a lot of the wires further in are bundled up with zip ties. I don't really know how I can make this more organized, but I'm going to give it a shot. Some of the smaller wire connections from the fuse panel to the switches, the wires may be a little longer than they need to be, and a couple of them, the wires might actually be a little too short. So I'm going to play around with that and then see if maybe I can bundle them into little groups, and we'll go from there. Remaking this little wiring harness, the first section connects to the fuse panel, and the second section jumps from one warning light to the other warning light, and it's too long and this one's too short. So basically just going to shorten things where it needs to be. Good set of wire strippers makes this job go a lot faster. Oh, screwed that up. Okay, I managed to get that connector off, so not a big loss there. Just gotta finish. Okay, hopefully this works a little bit better. So there's the new wire, it goes up. There's a little bit more space between the fuse panel and the actual indicator lamp, and then this wire that crosses over is shorter, so it's a little less clutter, and I also shortened the lead that comes off of this side. It doesn't make a big difference, but I noticed I got a straggler here. This wire was live and it shorted out, blew one of the fuses. I don't know if I had some sort of an idea for this, but This is jumped off here. There's two power leads. I'm going to just change this to one. This is for the light switch for the headlights. So I have lots and lots of potential space for other circuits, so I don't really have to do a lot of jumping off like that. So having just some loose random wire that's potentially live, not a good idea, so I'm going to get rid of that. Hardest thing about fixing the wiring in here and cleaning it up is the fact that there's so little room to work. It's definitely an awkward spot. I wish I had had this wiring harness planned out a lot better. Okay, so I just realized I'm actually going to start drawing a diagram of these fuse panels and all the connections. Some of the wires have labels from my original wiring harness like 2 years ago. For instance, this green wire is the main power to the coil. But some of these labels obviously are going to wear off. I do have a good amount of different colors, and based on colors and positioning, I'm going to make a chart so I know where everything's going, and I can come back to reference and go, yes, that wire is this wire is that. So I'm going to work on that now and try to get something drawn up. So all said and done, it's greatly improved. I started working on a diagram. I'll probably, when I'm done the rough draft, I'll probably actually do something on the computer that looks a lot neater and print it off, and that'll be my reference. But for now, I got to take a break. I need some butt connectors and some small ring connectors. There's a few wires under there that need to be shortened and a few that need to be lengthened. And that's going to allow me to actually tie those into bundles and direct them in a way that's a little bit neater. So once I get those butt connectors, I can extend some of those wires, and I can also make some of them a little smaller to get rid of some of the mess. So it is coming along. It's a slow, tedious process, but in the end, getting the wiring to look neater is kind of one of the things on my list to do, and it'll also help down the road with troubleshooting and repairs. So I don't know if you can see a difference, but it's a lot cleaner now. I've got a lot of wires grouped together. I had to shorten and lengthen some. I've got my tail light circuit hooked up, and also the running lights and the brake lights. So for electrical, this is as far as I can go without ordering parts. I need the selector switch for the signals and the hazards. I'm going to order kind of a aftermarket one that hot rod builders use, and it's just going to get mounted on the column here. I need to get a switch for the windshield wipers, and I am kind of stumped with the windshield wipers. I'm doing research right now. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to use the original thing motor with the secondary arm, or it's just my windshield is a little thin here, and that motor, I'm not sure exactly where it needs to get mounted, and it might actually interfere with the speedometer and the instruments. I didn't think ahead that far, so that could be an issue. Other options are different aftermarket windshield motors. You can get 12-volt kind of setups that are used for UTVs. You can get manual operated wipers. That's the simplest thing to do. Is just to put a manual wiper in there, and that should satisfy the safety requirements. But I also need to get my tail lights, but that's really, at this point, that's plug and play. I've got all the wiring harnesses back there. I just need to connect things, basically mount the tail lights, drill one hole, and connect the wires, and I'm good to go. So the electrical is getting there. It's almost done. So in the meantime, I'm going to work on some other stuff.